Okay, hello. I'm going to try to do a review for Grand Theft Auto 5, which I've been playing on PlayStation 3. I want to explain some things first to give some context. I'm only halfway through the game, or 50%, or somewhere about that. So I don't know how many missions are left. I don't know where it's going to go. So maybe you could say, well, how can you do a video review? But I think I've seen enough. I need to get some things off my chest. And I'm keen to see where it goes, if it improves or which direction it goes. Another thing I should say is I've been a fan of Grand Theft Auto for a while. I really liked Grand Theft Auto 2. I thought it was really hilarious and really cool. So I was excited for Grand Theft Auto 3 before it came out. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I feel like this has happened a few times. I was excited for Batman Begins, that I found out Nolan was going to direct it, and all of his movies after that, I was like, it's going to be great. And Pixar, I was super excited when A Bug's Life came out. I was like, it's going to be awesome. Everyone should watch it. And then like Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc. I just felt like I was ahead of the curve in terms of knowing that they were going to be good. So Grand Theft Auto, I felt like I know Grand Theft Auto 3 is going to be awesome, and then all the ones after that. I didn't know Grand Theft Auto 3 was going to be sort of like revolutionary, 3D, and sort of one of the first or most influential sandbox games, as far as I know, where you have a whole world that you can explore and just go around and pretty much do whatever you want, even if some of it involves crime and, running people over, blowing things up. It was never too realistic or serious. I think it's all tongue-in-cheek and exaggerated. When you hear people screaming, it's always over the top and it makes you laugh, I find. That's the tone that it had. Another thing I need to mention, which people will think I'm an idiot for this, but I'm playing GTA 5 in German because I'm trying to learn German, so I've got German subtitles. I'm also not listening to it. I've got the audio connected so I could just listen to music, because I really like to keep listening to new music, especially classical music. There's so much. Franz Joseph Haydn wrote over 100 symphonies, 104 symphonies or something, and most people haven't heard any of them, maybe part of one of them. And I think it's among the best music ever made. So I feel like there's so much stuff. Mozart, Beethoven, a lot of heavy metal I listen to as well, hip hop, anything I haven't heard before. It's a way to keep listening to new stuff while playing a game. I don't think anyone plays video games for the music, or for the story. Maybe one or two exceptions. So Grand Theft Auto 5, it's a bit of a mixture for me. Overall, like, it's amazing. The achievement, the size of the city that you can explore is incredible, and the graphics are awesome, and it looks like there's lots of vehicles, which is really cool and exciting. And I'd say in that area, the games have gotten better and better, from GTA 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4, and now Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh, and The Ballad of Gay Tony, and The Lost and Damned, or whatever. Each time it's gotten bigger and better overall. But something I don't like is the direction they're taking the games, especially from Grand Theft Auto 4. I actually think San Andreas was in some ways the best that they've done, and they haven't matched it. And I don't understand some of the decisions they make, so I'm not sure where to start. There's so many things. If I can use an analogy, it's like, I can't think of a better one, but you're in Disneyland and you've got, like a pass for the whole year. You can go to Disneyland whenever you want, but for whatever reason, you're limited to only a certain little section, like the teacup ride or something. Or, you've got a friend, you can only watch the kids' TV show, not TV shows, kids' shows. You can't go on any rides or something. It's like, the potential for GTA 5, or for Grand Theft Auto in general, what they do is huge and so cool and exciting. And then what they choose to do with it, I don't like. I don't like the way they're going. So, if I can summarize some of the aspects, maybe there's two things that come to mind. One, they sort of relate. One is that there's too many random encounters and characters and things that go on, that it doesn't seem to have a single story or a single focus that's builds to something. I want some kind of tension that builds up some kind of purpose. It's a bit like Pulp Fiction, which is a good movie, but it seems like they're obsessed with this having quirky different characters and their lives, you know, intertwined somehow, and that somehow that's really interesting. I don't need to see that. I get enough of that in real life. Annoying people, stupid people, or I'm not trying to be negative about people, but you know, enough things that are frustrating and I can see connections and stuff, and it doesn't interest me. I want a game with a bit more freedom for me to do something fun. It's escapism. The other thing is there's too many trivial things that I think are not... the analogy I'll use, and I'll go in more detail, but like, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but with girls' toys, I feel like there's a lot of times where, you know, they have like a doll, or like, yeah, a Barbie doll, and they dress it up, and it doesn't do anything. You're just making it look like something, like it's Surf Barbie, I don't know if it'd be a Surf Barbie, whatever. All the different types of Barbie, or baby dolls, babies that you even wee or poo and you have to clean it up, or you know the little digital toys where it'd be like an animal that you'd have to feed and it would grow or live. I don't know, they'd simulate it, but it doesn't do anything. I always preferred boys' toys. On average, you'd have things like the Transformers, where it'd be like a plane or a truck and it could really move and then turn into something else. Maybe it could shoot something. Everything had a function. That's what I like in Grand Theft Auto. I think Grand Theft Auto's strength is this world that you can explore with lots of little things that do stuff, and you can just be free to explore, and then you can do missions. And one of the best things I think is starting in a world where you have nothing, you know, you only have a little bit of ownership of, like anyway, you build up your reputation, you do missions, you get stronger and you get more money, and then you get to see more of the city, and eventually, you know, it'll start in an enclosed place. There'll be bridges that you can't cross, and then eventually, because of that, you get to know your little sort of home base, and you get acquainted with it, and you really get to know the area, and you become really curious. What's over on the other, in the other areas? Why won't it let me go there? I really want to go there. And as you unlock things, as you get more powers, or access to things, you get more excited because it's like, yes, finally I've got this, yes, I've got this. So the problem with Grand Theft Auto 5 is a few things. I don't really like having the 3 characters. I think that doesn't work. I think that misunderstands what's good about the game. You can have crossovers, that can be interesting, but that's called just having characters that you interact with, and interacting with the character a few times builds up the meaningful relationship. But by having 3 characters, I get confused, like, should I buy things for Franklin, or for Michael, or for Trevor? It splits up what I'm doing. I want to feel like it's me, I feel disconnected because of the 3 characters, and they're also too strong as characters. There's too much personality. I think a good protagonist, especially in a game like this, in video games, has to be very generic or plain or blank, a blank slate, so that I can project myself into them. Okay, they have to be sort of likable. You know, Trevor, I feel really uncomfortable with. He's a psychopath. I don't like. There was one part where you have to torture someone. I didn't feel comfortable with that. I didn't like that. I've never had a problem with. I've always found it funny that people say Grand Theft Auto makes people violent. It's silly, but this is a game where I felt uncomfortable with a lot of the violence because it's presented a bit more realistically, and it's no longer you. You're no longer just having fun doing stuff. It's a real psychopath doing things, and you're helping him do these things. I didn't like it. There's other things in terms of the gimmicky little stupid things. There's so many clothes shops, tattoo parlors, or whatever, places where you can. There's strip clubs. All these places that don't. I remember in Grand Theft Auto 4 they had bowling. I think this one maybe has darts, tennis. I hate all of that stuff. That's got nothing to do with what makes Grand Theft Auto good. I don't like the phone. I don't like getting text messages constantly from characters, you know, or phone calls. I'm driving. and I've got the freedom to explore this world, and then I get a phone call, and then it's like, oh, hey, man, and then all this personality and annoying characters that I don't like that. I liked in some of the other games where there'd be like a mystery person. I didn't know who they were, and they would say, hey, can you go get this car? I'll pay you lots of money, and you just go, you get the car, you bring it back, you get lots of money. That, no questions asked. I don't like missions to have like long cutscenes of like, it just seems like crazy characters. Everything's random, nothing builds up. There's not like a big crime thing that I'm uncovering or learning about. It's just, let's rob a bank, let's shoot a bunch of police officers, there's tanks, but they're pretty easy to get past. Everything feels gimmicky. That's another thing in terms of the gameplay. I feel if I'm going to have a chase, make it a real chase. I think there are ones where the car in front of you automatically keeps away until you're scheduled to reach them. I don't like that. I think they've got to figure out a way to make it work. Have a real chase, and then as soon as you catch up to them, then it can cut to a cutscene. Or you can figure out other ways to have things that happen. Yeah, I don't know. It really bothers me overall. Some things that San Andreas had that were really good, or that I liked. I liked the taxi missions and the ambulance missions, the vigilante missions where you steal a police car. They were really fun. Just even as something to do on the side, you get bored, it's like, oh, a taxi, here, I'll steal it, and then I'll do these taxi missions. And there'd be a time limit, and they'd gradually get harder. And if you finish 20 or 25, you'd unlock something. You might get a bigger prize. The money would sort of go up, so at first it's not worth much, but then if you do all 25, you can get some decent money. And yeah, I think after that, all the taxis had like nitro boosts or nitrous oxide or whatever. I think nitro boosts. I don't know if it was just taxis. I think it was that, and it doesn't have to make sense, but that's fun. It's cool. If you do all the ambulance missions, I forget, maybe you get you don't have to pay if you die and go to the hospital. I can't remember, and I can't remember with the police car ones either. I think it also had, one of the games had a driving school. You could do a driving training, and if you got all bronze or all silver or all gold, you'd unlock these cars that would appear right next to that driving school, and it was really cool. It'd be like really cool racing cars, and you could make it a unique car. You could make it, this is the only way to get it. I also liked in Vice City how you could buy properties, which I think GTA 5 has, but I don't know, it's more confusing now. There's not enough properties. I like more of them, and so you can have garages that you can store cars in. Okay, I'm just going to talk about whatever comes to mind. Another thing is that, the clothes shops. I hate that. It just seems silly. Why do I need to walk into a store to buy clothes? I swear the next thing they're going to do is make the cars have a petrol level, and when it goes low, you have to go to a petrol station and buy petrol and stand and wait for it to refill. I remember in Gran Turismo 5, you have to, add oil to your car, or it will give it a boost, and it's like, I don't want to do that stuff. I just want to race the cars. I want to GTA. I want to explore the world and do whatever I want whenever I want. And I want little icons that say, here's a mission you can do, or here's a challenge. Here's this guy is a mystery. There's like a telephone booth where he likes to call you, and if you go there, you can do another mission where you assassinate someone for a certain amount of money, and you're free to do it how you want, okay? Or you have to kidnap someone and keep them alive, or you have to rob a car, and they can get progressively harder. And if you finish all of them, there should be some reward. The person says, hey, look, I really appreciate all the work you've done. Here's my villa, or here's a house, you can own it, you can live there now. And then it's like, yes, I've got that. And over time, you build up more places that you can live or go to. I don't know. Okay, other things, San Andreas, I think, had the flight school where you could learn, you'd use a helicopter or a plane, and there might be an assault helicopter as well. And again, if you got all bronze or silver or gold or whatever, you'd unlock these vehicles that would just appear there. So it felt good. It was like an accomplishment. And then at any time you could get this really awesome assault helicopter and use it. It doesn't have to make sense. It's fun. The games are meant to be fun. In GTA 5 there's a flight school, but I don't even know if there's any reward. I got all gold. I don't think you get anything for that. So what was the point? It's frustrating. And meanwhile, I feel like there's all these random encounters, and you know, you like help someone, you'll get their bicycle back for them, or their car, or you'll just save them and then give them a lift, sometimes like 8 kilometers to where they live, and they'll say thanks, and you're like, oh, no problem, and then that's it. There's no reward. Maybe there's something that happens later, but I don't like that fundamentally. I don't like random encounters because I don't know when it's going to happen, if it's important or not, if it's adding to anything. I prefer to have set missions so that I could be in control and discover them. Plus, it doesn't make sense. Some of these mission things, you'd go there and then it would act as if it was a random discovery, that you randomly meet some people. But it's like, why was it on my map then? How did I know to go there and randomly discover them? So, yeah, anyway, that's just something I'm really against. To me, the best kind of GTA game is you start as a nobody, you gradually get stronger. There's a movie called Yojimbo by Akira Kurosawa, and it was remade as A Fistful of Dollars by Sergio Leone, and there's like the spaghetti western trilogy that he did. Anyway, the plot roughly of Yojimbo and these other ones is there's like a town or a city, and there's two dueling gangs or clans, and you have this drifter or samurai or whatever that just comes along and plays both sides for money. Just says, hey, I'll help you guys fight them, and then to them, I'll help you fight them. I think that's a dynamic that was in a lot of the GTA games, where you'll do any mission for anyone as long as it pays. You're kind of morally ambiguous. You're a bit like a grey hat hacker, meaning you're not evil, but you're not necessarily good either. You're just in it for yourself. You do what profits you. And in that way, you can really see the dynamics on both sides. You could have the police and the criminals on the other side. You could have two crime organizations and the police as well. You could get really, and then you can see the exaggerated hatred between them and the parallels as well. The way the police have a bit of corruption and the way the mafia have principles. So there's funny parallels. They're not that different from each other. I think The Dark Knight explores that. Another thing with the story is there haven't been any major changes. Good video games, there have to be events that happen that then change what the story's about and where you're coming from. But for this game, it feels arbitrary. It feels like all the missions with Michael Trevor and Franklin are arbitrary. It could happen in any order. We rob this bank and then later we rob this other bank. We get arbitrary choices that I don't want to make. I get to choose, do I want this person to help us or this person? These are their stats. I don't know who they are. I don't care. They've got no background. There's no real story that seems to build. And yeah, again, because I'm split between 3 characters, I don't know who am I? I don't feel like I'm in the game. I just feel like I'm pressing buttons as these characters do what's on their agenda, and it's not an interesting agenda. We're not building to go anywhere. It's just, yeah. So, and by having a huge world and just having access to everything, seemingly from near the start of the game, nothing has any meaning to you. In the older games, like I said, when you start with a home place and that's your place and all your missions around it, you get to know the area. It becomes significant. This is my place. When you finally break through and make a connection and do some bigger missions, it's a breakthrough and it has meaning. It's like, now I can go there as well. I've got a slightly bigger world. When you finally get access to another area, another part of the island, or a separate island, it's really cool. It's like, wow, look at this new place. There's all these cool things and there's new missions there, and then occasionally you go back and do other missions. So anyway, yeah, look, GTA 5 I'm finding very frustrating, and I think it's really misguided. It's not going in the direction that's interesting for Grand Theft Auto. I think there should be a lot more functionality. So missions that don't have as much story in them. Okay, you can have a main mission line where it's about building up your reputation. Like in an RPG, you start with nothing and you level up. But so making connections, seeing a bit of the inside of the police, the mafia, and rather than having crazy characters that are like lunatics and making that what it's about, which I don't find interesting, I find the tension, real tension of power. Like power should be a big theme of it, and I don't think they explore that in GTA 5 at all. That's really significant. That's what crime is about, is trying to take control and push another gang out, or like beat the police, or for the police to try to whatever, put the pressure on the criminals and wipe them out or whatever. It doesn't explore that at all. So another thing I got to mention, they're too similar. Every mission starts with drive to this place, go to this place, and then there might be a shootout, or you might need to pick something up, and then you drive someone back, and then that's it. The mission's complete. It's too much of the same stuff. There's so much. It could be more like a movie. You could really have. You could really meet. I feel like other than those three main characters, no one I meet has any real meaning to them. There's no significance about who they are. There's no threat that they might die, or I don't think I'd care if they die. They're just a random person that might help us do bank robberies or whatever. You could have much bigger action set pieces where it really feels like a movie, but where there's still skill involved. I feel like too many of them, you just end up arbitrarily. You're in armor and you've got a cool weapon and it's got unlimited ammo. There's no explanation of why. And there's not enough danger, not enough skill involved. When I played like Mass Effect 2 and 3, there were hard parts where I would die again and again, and I would have to figure out what powers do I have, what strategy am I going to use to get through this. And I'd have a lot of freedom of how to approach it, and I'd have to try different things, different strategies, different tactics, and a little, not necessarily luck, but a bit of timing and a bit of just trying things and seeing if they work. But GTA 5 feels too easy. It feels like you can just sort of walk through things. You can end up getting shot a whole bunch of times and still not die, and just sort of arbitrarily take cover. Like I don't like shooting so many police unless you have a really good motivation. I really dislike those main three characters. I don't like them much at all. There's a part where Franklin just throws a bit of rubbish on the ground. It actually annoyed me. I was like, dude, don't litter. It might seem silly if they're so violent, but at least, I don't know, you have like a moral basis where it's like, if I'm doing it for money and I feel like the person I'm going to kill isn't super bad, then like they're not a really evil person, then it's justified. So yeah, I don't want to keep going. In summary, okay, Grand Theft Auto 5 has amazing graphics and amazing world, but the story is not interesting, and it's not the right way to do it. You need one character building up, a generic character that you can somehow connect with and then put yourself in their shoes. You need lots more fun, interesting missions. Even you could have 50 missions that are all just find this car and bring it back, and you get more money each time. And I would enjoy doing that as long as there's no like major chatting in between. Just get this car, bring it here, and each of them gets a little bit harder and I get more money. I would have heaps of fun doing that and gradually exploring different parts of the city. Another little thing is with the city, there's so many lanes, it gets really confusing. It's depressing. I want a fun city that has lots of different areas that feel different. Too much of the GTA 5, whatever, I forget what it's called. Is it San Andreas? Why not give it an original name? I don't get it. Feels the same, and I get confused where I am. Maybe because it's so big, but by throwing you into a big place, it's too much at a time. If I was teaching maths, I can't just throw too many concepts at the same time. It's confusing. And yeah, get rid of all the little gimmicky things. I don't want to walk to a clothes shop to buy new clothes. I don't want to walk into my wardrobe if I want to change my clothes. That's another thing that annoyed me. When you switch to a character, you don't know where they're going to be. I completely lose ownership of them. They could be on the street walking along, they could be at home. They might think that it's brilliant, we're putting so much detail into this character. I don't want that. I want a video game, a fun thing where I can explore a city and be myself. And if I dress them up in a ridiculous outfit that I find hilarious, I want them to stay in that outfit, and they keep changing. I come back to them and they're in something much more normal, and it's just annoying. Yeah, and tattoo parlors, I hate strip clubs. I don't get the point. Again, I use that analogy. It's like little girls' toys where you make things look like something, or you have nothing does anything. So bring back all the taxi missions, the vigilante missions, any kind of generic type of mission that's fun, that builds up, and at the end you unlock something. And other than that, have a story. It's not too complicated, but which is about power and good and evil, crime, and building up. And then that way, at the end of the game, you can feel like these two forces destroyed each other, and in the meantime I made lots of money, I got lots of power, and I got to see inside and get some insight into it without being a crazy character myself. I could just... Anyway, alright, that's what I think. So you can reply, tell me what you think. I don't know if anyone watches these. Maybe I should just write my review. But anyway, okay, bye.